Good evening, everyone. My name is Kim Casey. I'm the high school principal. This webinar is being recorded. My goal this evening is to bring you up to speed on what we know today. I'm really excited that things are getting better and better in our state. I'm sure many of you have been listening to the news and those kinds of things. So we got some great news. And so I'm going to proceed on. I'm going to try and I had quite a few people look at the PowerPoint this evening, and we want to make sure it makes sense. I will answer all of the questions and I will stay on as long as it takes to answer them. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Once again, everyone, this meeting is being recorded. So for those of you that are joining this evening, we did our first webinar on May 5th. And once again, I want you to let you know that all the information is based on the guidelines from the Yakima Health Department and the Grandview School District. And they're constantly changing. As a matter of fact, for those of you who got on early, I'm constantly reading all of the changes and update, and we get those about once a week. So we will be having another webinar next week on Wednesday evening, or maybe Thursday. I'll send out another meeting invite to bring you up to speed if there's been any changes. It should be a shorter meeting than this one, and it will also have all of the information. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the last few days of school for the graduates of the class of 2021. So the last day for coursework will be Wednesday, June 2nd. And what I mean by that is some finals may happen a day or two before that, but that is the last day that a student can turn in work. That is the last day that teachers have to accept work. And so everybody needs to be aware of June 2nd. Then on Thursday, June 3rd, we're calling it Senior Checkout Day. It's always been called that. It's always been held on the Thursday before graduation. This year, we need to make sure everyone understands that it's for everyone, whether you've been a remote learner or you're a face-to-face learner right now. All seniors must come to the building. There is a piece of paper, it's called a checkout form, that they will carry to all of their current teachers as well as the librarian. At that time, they will turn in their computer and the charger. You must have both. You will turn in any library books, any textbooks, and then you will get your fine cleared. So if you were to pull up a fine report right now, some of the students may show a fine for their computer or may show a fine for a textbook that they're using right now. That doesn't mean it's a fine like you have to pay it. Once you turn in those items, then the fine disappears on your account. I'm going to explain a little more as we keep going. I'm watching the question and answer. If you have question and answers or questions, please type them in the Q&A chat area and I will watch for them. Once again, a reminder, this is being recorded. We have 42 participants on with us this evening as of right now. So let's talk about that Senior Checkout Day. It's time to start digging from under the bed. Looking for the books. While you're doing that, the middle school and elementary school would love to have all the books back. We need to make sure that the laptop and the charger have the same barcode numbers on them, because you might have more than one student at home with very similar laptops. We're only taking senior devices on this particular day, so make sure you bring the proper charger and the proper laptop. And we will be working from 7 to 4, but the librarian and everybody leaves at 2:45. So your senior checkout day can be anytime in the morning between 7:15 and 2:30. I probably should have typed that on here. I will make a note of that when I send the letter out to all of your homes. So let's talk about Friday, June 4th. That is practice and picture day. It will begin at 8 a.m. and my apologies. It will begin at 8 a.m. and everyone needs to come at 8 a.m. And what happens is the students come in and they go through like a little line and we verify that there is no balances on any of their accounts, and that they have a cap and gown. You need to bring your stool, any cords that you've earned, and all of those items some cords may be passed out to you that day, but everything that you need to have your cap and your tassel, and everything will happen. What will happen first? Oh, we are giving you a new mask. It says Class of 2021 with our Grandview logo on it. Everyone will wear the same mask, and they will be brand new in a package. And then what's going to happen next is we'll do a group picture with masks on 3 square feet apart. So it's a little better than 6. So I think we can get everybody in our brand new gym, and we'll do a big group picture. Then we are going to get on a bus, and we are going to walk the halls. For those of you who aren't familiar with this, we started this tradition many years ago, where the students, all students go, even if you haven't been in elementary school here. You get to choose which school you want to go to, so with a friend or something. And we walk the halls of the elementary schools. It's a time of motivation. It's a time for those of you to say thank you to your teachers, all different kinds of things. Well, this time, because of COVID, we didn't get to do it at all last year, but because of COVID, we're going to walk outside the school, and the students will all be in a location in their playgrounds, you might say, and we will walk and zigzag through all of those students so that we'll still get the same experience. And those young guys are gonna be able to see you in your cap and gown, and your families and your teachers and things like that. Then we will return to the stadium, where you will have your individual picture taken, and we will practice. And we practice walking in, we practice the seating, all of those kinds of things where you'll sit. And at that time, you're going to want to be able to say, hey, mom and dad, I am sitting in this area, so that they can place themselves when they come in to sit down close so that they can see you. It's still a long ways away, so bring good cameras with good telephoto lenses. Our new phones do a great job, but we're going to have as close to a normal graduation as we can. I don't see any new questions in the chat yet, so I'm going to keep moving on. So graduation day, that is Saturday, June 5th. Everyone needs to arrive at 6:30. Let me go back. I just thought of something. When we are done at the stadium with practice, you will turn in your cap. So any decorating you need to do on your cap has to be done before Friday. And I'll just kind of share with you, oh, I wish I had a graduation cap. But if you think about your cap being on your head and it's got decoration on, we do a fancy picture where everybody leans forward like this, and we can see the decorations on your cap. It's kind of a tradition we've done. It's kind of fun to see all of the different things that are on your hat. And believe it or not, because you want to read them from behind, we actually have you take the cap, turn it around on your head, so when you lean down, it's in the right direction. It's kind of fun. But we're going to collect your caps. Yes, this PowerPoint will be posted to the website and as well to our GSD app, and it will go out to all students as well. Thank you for the question in the chat. So I forgot about that cap picture and decoration. So on Saturday, June 5th, all students will arrive at 6:30. We're going to have them park in the staff parking lot. So all students will park in the all graduates, will park in the staff parking lot, and then you will go to the auxiliary gym, where we will stage and make sure everybody's ready to go and pressed and clean, all looking good. And then that's where we'll wait until we're ready to begin our procession down to the stadium. We ask that you bring as few of personal belongings as possible. If you have a car that has the type of keypad or some kind of lock in it, leave everything in the car, especially cell phone chargers, hangers, purses, anything of any value. You need to leave it in the car. Or have your parents drop you off, and then you don't even have to worry about the car. One of the big things we want to talk about is shoe choice. For those of you who have been to our stadium, we have an artificial turf. You cannot wear spiked high heels. A wedge heel, ladies, a more blocky heel would probably be fine, just not the spike heel. And because you don't want to hurt the turf. And we want everybody to understand we can see your feet. So you should have a slack, a jean, a nice whatever, no holey jeans, no ratty jeans at the bottom. And so just, we call it nice clothes. The question about why do we leave the caps? So someone asked, why do they leave their caps? Will they be stored with other caps? Will they be sanitized? The question about the caps is, one, they get forgotten. Two, they sometimes get damaged. And three, we don't have any extras. As far as will they be stored with every caps, we buy these big gallon bags, or they're actually 1.5 gallon bags. They slide right down in them and they're sealed. Their tassel and everything is sealed in there. They write their name on the inside of the cap. Plus, if they have decoration, they know whose cap it is. And we kind of put them in alphabetical boxes. We've been doing this for a long time. So no, they will not be sanitized per se, but that bag will be enclosed with their cap in it. I hope that answers that question. We do have, yes, the caps will be kept overnight and actually stay in my office. And this has been a tradition for as long as I've been around. So we also find that then, like I said, there's not damage to them. So I'll keep looking on these. Masks, like I said earlier, we have a new mask that's coming. It should be here any day with the GHS logo on one side and class of 2021 on the other side, and they will all be worn by the same, so that when we take a picture, your group picture and so forth, or somebody takes a picture, it looks very professional and very, I don't know, organized, I guess would be a good word. Okay, I'm looking at my questions before I move on. Just give me just one moment. Yes, they will leave the caps with me after practice on June 4th. That is correct. So here's what we know for sure so far. Without a doubt, graduation will be June 5th. It will be at 8 p.m. The gates will open at 7:15. No umbrellas, canopies, or large sunshades. We try and do it in the evening, so it's starting to cool off. Obviously, we can't look into the forecast quite that far yet, but you'll start to be able to take it. Here's the new part. Everyone will get 3 tickets for in the unvaccinated section and 4 tickets in the vaccinated section, which I'll show you a map in a moment. And I have some pictures of the tickets, so bear with me just a minute. Everything will be live streamed and on the big screen. Balloons and flowers must be tied to the outside fencing or left in the car, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. The restrooms will be open. We will have people at the door so that there's not too many people in there, allowing for the doors to be propped open so we're not touching door handles and so forth. Let's talk about the vaccinated section. You must have your card or your picture of your card. You've been hearing that on the news. The vaccinated section cannot have anyone under the age of 12 because that's the 12 is the youngest age that people can be vaccinated at this time. If you have Johnson & Johnson, it's a one-shot vaccination. So we'll be looking for the words Johnson & Johnson on your card or a J&J. Some vaccine places put just the J&J. If it has Pfizer or Moderna, you will have to have 2 vaccines showing on your card to be admitted into that section. If they are younger than 12, they will be counted in the ticket count for the unvaccinated section. We did send out a survey to all students. I don't know, it's about a little over a week ago, just after our last webinar. And we are showing About equal vaccinated, unvaccinated. But now that you know it's 7, I'm going to be sending that a new survey out. Now I'm telling you that it has the 7 tickets and trying to figure out to make sure that the vaccinated section is big enough, and we could always switch the sides, which I'll talk in a moment. So let's talk about the vaccinated section. People in that vaccinated section do not have to wear a mask, and they can sit shoulder to shoulder. There is no physical distancing required. We're going to ask that you wear a mask just out of respect to the people sitting by you, but it is not a requirement, and you won't be asked to leave if you don't wear a mask in the vaccinated section. So let me take a look at the chat. You will take your individual picture without a mask, but not the group picture. If you have more siblings that are under 18 and not vaccinated, I'm sorry. We only have 3 tickets at this point in the unvaccinated section. The unvaccinated section, which we'll talk about in a moment, we have X's on the stadium. The students kind of used it and tested it out at our assembly last weekend or last Friday. And on that X, you can put 3 people. And then we have to have 6 feet between you and the next pod or family group. And we don't have enough. The home stadium side only seats 1,250, approximately 1,260. And 3 students is about where we're at and keeping that distance. If you had all 7 tickets were vaccinated, you would need to be split up because I only have 4 tickets allowed in the vaccinated section, unless, and we'll talk about this in a moment, you trade, and I will talk about that in a moment. So whoever anonymous attendee is, if you had a best friend who had everybody in their family who wasn't vaccinated and you wish to trade them, we will talk about trading those tickets in a minute, but it will have your name on it as the graduate. So we'll talk about that in a minute. I have a question here. Would my mom have to sit with my little sister, who's 3 years old, in the unvaccinated section, even if my mom is vaccinated? Yes. Or your 3-year-old would have a babysitter or stay home. I don't want her to stay home. I don't mean it that way. But yes, your 3-year-old sister would need to have an adult, and so mom would need to sit there. You know, babies is counted as a person in the non-vaccinated section. Think about like an airplane travel. If they can sit on your lap and not take up space, then I wouldn't think we would count as a baby, especially like a year and under, right? We wouldn't consider it a baby, a person in the non-vaccinated section. They wouldn't need a ticket. Yes, you received 7 tickets total. I'm going to go to my next slide and it might answer a couple of questions here. Does the ticket include the parents? Yes. So each student gets 7 tickets and they can give them to whoever they want. It's not 7 plus parents. It's 7 tickets total. So let's talk about this map. This might help some of you. This is, I'm using my mouse. Hopefully you can see it. I probably should have made it a bright red circle or something. This is the unvaccinated section, or what we call the home stadium. And you can see these little rows below the orange. So it's every other row, and then the seats are at diagonals. So this only holds the number of people for 3 tickets per graduate. This section here in the middle of the field, we were able, with the going to 3 square feet, we were able to move the graduates back on the field like it's been for a long time. The graduates will sit in an individual pod on a turf cover with their chair on top of it, and they will be 3 feet from the next graduate. The stage for the speakers, I always decorate with trees and nice things back here. The band will be way back here. Normally they used to be up front, but because of the requirements for a band, we're going to put the band back here. And then this is the vaccinated section. Right down here at the end of each one of these ramps will be the people checking the vaccinated cards and vaccine cards. And that's how that will be managed. There will be restrooms over here. And then there's restrooms on both sides of our concession stand. Water will be available. So let me look at a few questions. How long will the graduation be? Well, there's no set time. We have a series of speakers. We have a class speaker. We happily have 4 valedictorians who will all speak. Their speeches are in the neighborhood of 3 minutes each. So it's just one of those things, like we're trying to help we can. So most graduations, for those of you on, if somebody wants to chime in the chat and tell us how normal, it seems like they're about an hour, a little less than an hour maybe, but a graduation is about an hour. So the graduates will come from the gym. This is the maroon line. They'll come across, they'll come down, and then they'll follow the procession into their seat, and they'll sit this way. They'll be able to tell you where they're sitting, our top 10, our ASB president, our class president to get front row, and then it's kind of up to the students. They kind of line up accordingly, and they might want to sit near a friend, so they won't be walking with a partner like 2 by 2 or 3 by 3, right? But they can sit and walk in order of their friends. Let's talk about parking. I don't know how many parents we have on here. I'm going to try and really work on this next message. People can park in the middle school parking. They can park along 2nd Street. They can park along Hillcrest. They can park in our amazing new parking lot. But in years past, we used to park on the grass in the corner up where the new practice soccer field is. We cannot have any cars on the grass. And so we are going to have adults out there in vests, making sure that no one parks on our new sod and sprinkler system. We're just now getting that water going. We don't want to. There will, thank you for the question about which direction will the students be facing. Students will be facing the stage here. So they always face towards Hillcrest, and then the big screen is over here. So they face that way. I hope that helps. An anonymous attendee must be a student. So can we choose where we sit? Within reason, yes, because we don't have walking partners. We'll be talking about that on our practice day. And so we line up in this great big line of 230 people, and then people kind of jockey around and we move you around. We get you situated, and that's why we practice and we go out, and then we go back in so you know where you're sitting. And that way you can tell your family where you'll be sitting, because once that seat is yours, it's yours for the next day. So to the person who asked about assigned seating, first come, first serve, and wheelchairs. So there is wheelchair seating in both vaccinated and unvaccinated section. It is first come, first serve. We are not, for example, saying seat A1 is for any one student, or F32 is for a different student. We're not doing that. Your tickets are just per section, not per seat. I hope that makes sense. So let's talk about the tickets. Tickets will be passed out on graduation practice day. 4 for the vaccinated section, 3 for the unvaccinated for each student. So here's what it will look like. This ticket will be, this is an actual picture of the ticket. It will be a vaccinated ticket. You'll put your name, the graduate's name here, the graduate name, the guest name, and the guest phone number. This is because we will then tear this in half. The guest will keep this section and we will keep this section. In the event that there's something that happens with COVID or any communication that we need to get back to this person, this is how we will do this. In the unvaccinated section, it says 3 seats per graduate. The graduate name will go on here, the guest name and the phone number for the same purpose. We need to be able to communicate with you if there is something that happens. This is a requirement of the Yakima Health Department, not a Kim Casey requirement. So we have to be able to keep in touch with you. So the ceremony will work something like this. You'll have the stage, we'll have our guest speakers, the band will play a procession and a recession. We'll walk in single file. Graduates will sit down on the turf in that pink, I don't know what color it was, in the green section. Students will stay, now we need to talk about diplomas. Because we can't touch your diploma and shake your hand and walk across the stage, we've worked really hard to figure out how we're going to do this so that you can get that moment of, I did it. So here's my diploma that we normally do when you walk across the stage. So when a student arrives at their seat on graduation day, there will be a diploma cover, because you never get your real diploma on graduation day anyhow. There'll be a diploma cover under your seat. We will be reading names slower, and the students will then come and stand up and show and talk to both sides, like if you have people in the vaccinated and the unvaccinated section, so people can take pictures. But you will not be walking up and around onto the stage. You'll just be standing and taking pictures, but we will call, I promise we'll go slow enough that everybody will get your picture and you'll get that. Now, remember I talked about picture day? On picture day, you'll get that formal, really nice picture where you stand kind of like you're shaking hands, but we've talked about how we're going to do that so you get that really good picture. So I think what we're going to do is you're going to hold your diploma, something like this, and the superintendent, Dale Bergeson, our school board chair, will stand next to you approximately 3 feet apart, and you'll have your diploma and that picture will be there, not the shaking hand picture, because we can't shake hands. So everyone will wear a mask except when speaking at the microphone. We will do the fireworks and the tossing of the caps. That tradition's coming back. Everything's going to be really exciting. And here's the big difference. In times past, for those of you who have been to many graduations, we toss the caps, the students watch the fireworks, and then we start the recession out. We can't do that. All guests in the vaccinated and unvaccinated sections will be released to go home to their cars off the school property. Now, obviously, we're not going to wait till every single car is gone, but till the stadium is empty, and then the students will follow the recession. It'll still be on the board. It'll still be in the live stream. Everybody will leave, go to their cars or to their family, wherever they're making plans to meet. But because of the congestion that always happens down on 2nd Street or at the end of the stadium or on the track, we can't do that. The county won't allow us. We had to have a plan to minimize that congestion. And our plan is to release the guests to, quote, go home. And then once the stadium is empty, we will release the graduates. So this is the big piece. Everybody's got to kind of start wrapping their heads around this. The recession will happen after the stadium is empty. You'll get a goodie treat bag that's from the junior class to you, and you will follow the normal path then back to the gym. You'll get any belongings if you have left any in there, or you can just go directly to your cars or your people who are waiting to pick you up. That's all I've got for tonight. Let's see. I do not know who's going to be the class speaker. That's not my job. Your senior class, your class should have chosen a class speaker. If not, they might be working on it. Rosa, students will walk to the stage or just stand in their seat. We're still working on that one. That will be next week's update. We're kind of waiting to hear what the Yakima County has. That question came up in our meeting with Ryan Eibach this week, and we haven't got a final thing if we have to worry about that walking across the stage. We're thinking that they can walk across the stage with their diploma just not, and have the staff that normally sit on the stage stay way back, not come forward. You can't hug teachers, you can't shake hands. So we're still working on that. We're trying to get some information on that. All right, I'm watching. I'm going to stay on. I'm watching the chat. I've even checked my cell phone. I don't see anything else there. This will be recorded. Thank you all for coming. I will do another one next week. It'll be probably faster, but it will have the same information and that update on walking across the stage or standing at the seat. Thank you, everyone. I'm watching the chat. Have a great evening. You're very welcome, Rosa.